One, two, three, the coffee.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Lawn Feed Podcast. Alongside me, as always, is Vince and Andrew from Rooted Lawn Co. and the Dad Bod Lawn, respectively. What's
Hey,
up?
hey.
What's up? I am
we
Ope,
doing?
your host tonight, this evening, switching it up a little bit. And guys, I'm excited to say because spring has finally sprung, and I can officially say this because I'm the last to actually get into spring. It feels like out of the entire globe. So the cool part is we've got 60s and 70s in the forecast. So I am hereby announcing the 2023 lawn season officially kicked off. Yes, hurrah, we made it. It's official. We said it. It's go time. So spring is a super exciting time because us lawn geeks are just really anxious to get out into the lawn and start doing all of the things. So this is a cool episode for us. We're bringing on a first-time guest to the show. We have Chris Klein, a co-founder and chief product officer of Rachio. Chris, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited.
So,
You're welcome.
This is going to be a fun one. Rachio is a very common name in the DIY, lawn space, and we'll obviously get to know you a little bit here as the episode goes on. But Chris, being a first-time guest, the tradition that we have is we do a segment with all parents who pop on called Wins and Losses, and this is where us as parents can just openly chat about one recent win and one recent loss, which we all know that we have a ton of on a daily basis. Within that arena that we just call parenthood. So this segment is brought to us by our friends at Four Fathers. It's an elevated apparel company who celebrates the do-it-all dad. So four dads just kind of hanging out tonight. Go grab some of their awesome polos for any occasion or hobby, whatever have you. If it's lawns, if it's golf, if it's drinking beer, smoking meat, whatever it is. At shopfourfathers.com and use the promo code TheLawnFeed to enjoy 20% off of your entire order. So go check that out for sure. So Chris, without further ado, got one win, one loss that you've recently experienced as a parent. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I'll go with what's most recent. So I'll start with a win. We're kind of an outdoor family, and so we like to do everything from like mountain biking to skiing and getting on the river. And we just had spring break in Moab, and the two boys, 5 and 7, we got them onto a green-blue mountain bike trail, and they did it, and didn't cry, and they enjoyed it, and we didn't push them too hard, and had a little 2.5 mile loop. So that was awesome. A big win for us.
So a green blue, is that like an easier course or track or?
Yeah. Like green's like the easiest. And then there was just like a couple of spots in it that make it like a blue, which is like the next one up. So they kind of call it a green blue. And so the little guy had to get off the bike and, kind of huck it up the rock, but like he did it. And that was awesome. That's kind of half the battle.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
How about an we all know you've fallen flat on your face this week, so tell us about it.
I was actually just thinking about what's happening upstairs right now is the loss that in order to keep the boys quiet, we had to put them in front of the TV because otherwise they will be down here hanging on my back. So we had to do the TV thing to get them to be guaranteed to be quiet for the podcast.
Yeah, we know the feeling.
Could certainly relate, no doubt.
A little TV time won't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Once in a while, it's good. Well, Chris, again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I and the viewers probably want to know a little bit more about you. So, what's some background history on you and Rachio?
Okay, yeah. I'll kind of start maybe like not being super detailed. That way, you guys can ask questions because I don't want to just talk for the sake of talking. But my background. I graduated from school with a background in commercial construction. So I was a project manager in commercial construction. Moved out to Denver, did that for a little bit, 2 or 3 years in that. And there were some things I loved about it and some things that I didn't. And decided to try and change careers and went back to school for a little bit longer. And while I was in school, really fell in love with technology, and really started getting into software engineering. Came out of school and did product management for a little bit, and then slowly made my way into software engineering. And then I did that for 3-4 year stint. And then there's a story behind Rachio, which we can talk about, but that's what kind of gave me what I needed, at least to start the company. And my co-founder and I started the company back in 2013. And it's been, it's kind of history from there. But the main reason was in 2012, we were in our third year of drought in Denver. And they had a pretty big campaign on, how to like use only what you need is what it was called. And it was really all about like water conservation outdoors. And we just saw a need to make that easy for people, and protect their plants, protect their lawn, and still look for ways to save water. And we found a way to do that through an app and connected product.
That's awesome. It's good to hear.
So did you actually dive into the market with like smart technology right away?
Yeah. The first product was generation 1. It was a Wi-Fi connected product. And it didn't have any buttons. Like there were no knobs or dials on it whatsoever. It kind of looked like, which is sort of a little funny story behind it, but it looked like an Apple. I can't remember what their external hard drive was. That was a computer at one time, maybe like a mini. And it was just a square box that you put on the wall, and you plugged your wires into it. And then you kind of connected it to your Wi-Fi, and it connected to the phone, and you ran everything from the phone from there. And since, we've had customer research and feedback and things like that, we've slowly added more knobs and dials, but not too much, right? Just kind of keep most of it on the phone.
Yeah, I think most people probably utilize the phone app more than anything, right? If you have a smart controller, I don't see a whole lot of people going out in their garage and touching buttons when they can sit on their couch and do it from there.
Yeah, I mean, we have the data to back it up because we can like tell if you use like, not like you personally, but we can see like how many button pushes there are. And for the most part, it's like once or maybe twice a year that someone actually uses the controls, and it's in the spring, and then like sometimes in the winter, right, when they're shutting it down and they're actually at the system.
Yeah, it's the guy they hired to come blow the sprinklers out who's running the zones out there. Yeah,
totally, and turning them back on.
Yeah. So we all know like watering is super important to lawn care. Obviously, you wouldn't have a lawn without water, and proper watering habits are like a central focus of many people out there. Touch on some of the proper watering habits that are important and a few things that homeowners can actually do to impact how much water they actually use at their homes.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways to do it. And depending on the customer preference, they may choose one type of scheduling over another. And so we have a fixed scheduling or fixed programming for a customer. And that's where they can choose, hey, every other day, every 2 days, every 5 days, whatever that looks like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, however they want to do it. And we'll set that schedule. And then from there, they can turn on skips, so they can make sure they skip when it rains. They can, do things and skip when it freezes. But we also do what's called, and I think this is really important to watering, is a seasonal shift. And that's where we see the biggest amount of savings is in the spring and fall, where a lot of people, which makes sense, they set their schedule for summer, and then they water that the same in the spring and the same in the fall, when you actually need much less water. And so that's how we will kind of change watering from a fixed schedule perspective. And then we have another schedule that we call our flex schedule, and that just waters only as needed. And so it waters every single zone independently, and it always waters the same amount, but then the frequency of it changes. So it might water every 10 days in the spring and every other day in the summer. And that's really one of the best ways to water. I believe it was developed, the concept was developed by Michael Dukes out of Florida, and it's called maximum allowed depletion out of Florida University. And I think what it is basically like it's sort of like you fill up the bucket of where the roots are, and then you allow that water to deplete until like basically have an allowed depletion level, and then you water and fill it back up. And by doing that, you constantly keep the roots strong and the plant healthy.
That's awesome. So just for our listeners, we're talking to Chris Klein, co-founder of and chief product officer of Rachio. So Chris, I have a Rachio Smart Sprinkler controller. I've had one for just over about a year and a half, 2 years now. And I know a lot of people in the DIY space have one as well. So our audience is very interested in something like this. There's a ton that had to go into this product, right? It has a lot of cool features in it. You guys have your Rachio weather intelligence technology that just offers a whole bunch of different cool features. You know, you just mentioned a whole bunch, right? Rain skip, wind skip, seasonal shifts. My favorite, and you just touched on it a little bit without even saying it, but the saturation skip. Just to kind of name a few, right? And you're obviously one of the brains behind the technology and the actual product that people put in their garage or outdoors, wherever have you. What all went into this, and how have you really seen it evolve over time? Because I know you're a couple generations out of it. How have you seen it evolve and all the work that goes into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts with customer feedback and really spending time with the customer on our communities, in video calls, in the field, and really listening to how they've used the product, how they want to see it change, and then also trying to like marry that with just good science or good watering algorithms. But I mean, where it really changed, the first one was a fixed program, kind of those fixed schedules, and really thinking about like what is the current mental model or the way that people water and what would be like most familiar, and then how could we modify that and make that a little bit more efficient and also better for the plants. So that's where we kind of started with the seasonal shifts and the rain skips, wind skips, things like that. Saturation skip, interestingly enough, is almost like it's like a derivative of like the flex schedule. So when we went to when we created a maximum allowed depletion schedule where it waters only when it needs to and thinks more about saturation than just like if it's raining or not, we then used that as a new type of skip and brought it over to the fixed programs, so that you could kind of have a little bit of like that flex schedule goodness as well. And then from there, it's just usability stuff, like making sure we're building, features that are easy to understand. And we still have some work to do, by the way. And then continually looking at the ecosystem as a whole. So last year we integrated a weather station. People really love the concept of like weather in their backyard, and really just knowing that like what's happening in their yard is being recorded in their system, and we're using that to make smart choices. And then even evolving the product more to, I think Vince might have a system like this, but allowing the same type of intelligence or similar to be used in an above ground system or a hose faucet based system. So expanding it out to different pieces of hardware as well.
Very cool. Does your guys' system, does it go off of like your zip code and uses local weather stations? How does it know, to do the wind skips and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And there's like, there's some pros and cons of this, but it's very flexible. So, the pros, we have multiple ways to do it. Cons are sometimes it can be confusing, but we're working on that is, one is you can choose a personal weather station that is around you. And so a lot of people will hook their personal weather station up to like a weather underground, and they'll allow that data to be sucked into, the cloud, for lack of better words. And you can select that station. So you might have a neighbor down the street and you say, hey, I want to use that.
Right.
I want to use that weather station.
Right. I have one. That's kind of why I'm curious too.
Yeah. So that's how you would suck it in kind of that way. Two, we have basically a weather network you can choose from, and that uses your precise geolocation. So a true geopoint where your controller is. And then we'll look at weather stations, weather services, a lot of different things, and actually perform some like interpolation and say, hey, this is exactly what we think is happening right now, what's happened in the past, and what's going to happen in the future. And then recently we launched a real like full data integration with a Tempest, which is just one of the brands of a weather station. And that is more data than just kind of your personal weather station and what Weather Underground will give you. It's all of the weather data, like straight from your backyard. And, you can bring that in as well. So you kind of have three choices.
That's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. I just, I received a weather station for Christmas this year, and I finally just hooked it up, and I'm like constantly staring at it. It's like a classic adulting. You're excited about watching your weather that's happening right outside your window. But that's cool. That's cool that you can integrate that into your actual system. And speaking of the systems, those who are lucky to have an in-ground system or in-ground irrigation, I should say, this year at CES, you guys released a newer product that caters to the homeowners with in-ground sprinkler systems. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's our hose on timer. And so, there's a lot of, it's actually just as big of a market as the in-ground irrigation space. And that's everything from, sometimes the in-ground irrigation is actually there and it comes up and attaches to a faucet, to, people that have drip systems that they attach to a hose faucet, to people that even have to move around a hose and, set up the sprinkler in a variety of different spots. But they're always hooking it to that outdoor hose faucet or hose spigot, whatever, they want to call it. And we have a new little timer that sits right there at that faucet, connects to your phone, turns it on and off when it rains, makes it really easy to program. And it's just a nice little timer to help customers that have that type of system.
So it turns on and off when it rains. Does it sense when it's raining?
Yeah, the same. Saying? Yeah, it uses the same weather intelligence that our controller uses, and can make choices on like running a program or not when it rains.
And these are available now?
They are. They were going to be shipping mid-month.
Okay. Where can folks go to find this product?
Rachio.com.
Because I'm interested.
yeah. Rachio.com is the best place to go for now. And we'll start having it in some other channels as well as the summer unfolds.
So one last question on that. Is it, I know some systems it's one, basically it connects to your hose bib and it's one outlet. Is there multiples, like you can do 4 or 1 or 2, or is it just a single hookup?
Right now it's a single hookup. We're looking at a possibility of offering basically a multi-valve version of that. But we want to first, as always, we'd like to get it in the market, learn a little bit more about how our customers are using it. And then there are also splitters that are available, that you can hook up, and you can kind of hook them up to the splitter and use them just like you would as a multi-valve unit. So we have ways to do that. Basically, you can hook up to 8 of them to our hub. So that's what connects to the Wi-Fi. And then that communicates out to the valves. So you can hook up to 8 of them up.
Oh, nice. And again, I'm just going to back up a little bit. I misspoke. I said for those who have an in-ground system. This is actually for those who don't have an in-ground system. So if you don't have an in-ground system, this could be a good product for you.
Totally. Or if you run from a hose faucet, this could work for you really well. Yeah.
So a lot of our listeners are new homeowners or people that are looking to dive into lawn care and really dial in their irrigation systems. What are 3 biggest tips that you would say that you can offer to them to succeed in their lawn with irrigation?
Simplicity in programming. We hear time and again. I mean, we just did kind of like in-field research with, I want to say it was about 12 people. Every single one of them, and this is constant, has the irrigation controller that they moved in with. They're sort of unsure of what it's running. They don't know the name of it. And, what they really want is just like, hey, how do I schedule this? And just actually know that something is going to run, right? And then it's, we have one of them knows if the irrigation runs if there's water on the window, right, in the morning. That's kind of how they see hey, did I see that there's some water on the window and that it actually ran. So we really help with that, overall scheduling, making it really easy, setting up as many as you want for whatever variety of reasons you want, and then giving you the information on your phone, yes, it indeed ran, that schedule was there. And then 2, it's kind of part of that is we actually recommend a schedule. So you don't have to guess on how many minutes or what days to water. You just have to tell us what's in your yard, and we'll actually create a schedule for you, and then adjust it from there. And then 3, we adapt to weather conditions and climate, so that you're watering only what your plants need.
So what you're saying is that you can overwater and then underwater, and sometimes less is more.
Yeah,
is basically what you're saying. So no, that's really cool, and I could speak, just as a customer, on a lot of things that you just said. I mean, I know that my water bill went down from the one that my house was originally installed with. And I even did things like overseeding projects and all of that. And it went down, but I don't know the exact percent, but it was less than the year before. And that was with a drought, right? So it's it's kind of a wake up call for a lot of people of whoa, what am I actually doing. And I think it's clear to me, obviously having one, but it's clear to me that Rachio's committed to the conservation, water conservation at more than just kind of the localized scale. You guys are after a global scale and trying to make an input or an impact at the global scale to try to make a dent in that. It's April, right? So I think the everyone's kind of have this circled on their calendars. April 22nd is Earth Day. What do you guys have planned for things like Earth Day, and just the overall kind of global impact of what water conservation is as a whole?
Yeah, on Earth Day, we obviously always have our, and this isn't just a sales pitch, it's just like we have our sale of the year kind of thing, right? So we make it easy for anyone to get into the product, possibly when conservation is top of mind, and we spend a lot of time and effort, getting that information out. And then, we obviously are excited about being in the business for 10 years now this go around, and I believe we're up to about 150 billion gallons of water saved.
That's insane. Like, you put that number out there, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, and I don't have the stat in front of me, but like I was reading something on like the EPA, like estimates that on a daily basis, the United States alone uses like 9 billion gallons of water. And like they estimate like half of that is misused because of like evaporation, wind, like that kind of thing. Like that seems like that's a huge number.
Yeah. And outdoor watering is very lopsided in terms of like the amount of water that can be saved. And, versus like low flow toilets, low flow dishwashers, things like that. If you water outdoor and you have an irrigation system, you can save significantly more water just by watering the right way. And your plants don't get affected. It's good for your plants too.
For sure. And I know we haven't really talked about grass at all. Obviously, this is a lawn podcast. We've been talking about water, but like grass type and maintenance of your lawn and the grass obviously is a huge component to this as well. Like if you're smart with, the different cultivars of grass that you actually choose to put into your lawn, you can make a dent just by doing that and maintaining your normal watering habits. But then if you start doing smart watering, like you're saying, on top of all of this, and you're making a pretty good a dent in your own local footprint, right? So it's something to consider. Obviously there's a lot of good stuff happening and things are going in the right direction. And you guys are doing good stuff over there. I'm a huge fan of it. Like I said, I've had it for a couple of years now, and you guys are making your name well known in the DIY space. So, well, Chris, we obviously are super pumped to have you on. That'll do it for this episode of the Lawn Feed podcast. But thank you and Rachio for coming on. Before we go, Chris, I want to give you a chance to give the listeners and the viewers a chance to get to know you guys. Where can they find you on the interwebs, on social, wherever? Where can people find you?
Yeah, the best way to find out about us is just head over to rachio.com. We'll have all of our links to the different social platforms, our community, our blog. And then, we have a very unique name, Rachio. So you Google that and you'll find us pretty quick.
No, that's awesome. Well, thank you again. There you have it. Definitely go check them out and go check out everything that you can do in your own yard. And also go check out thelawnfeed.com. Some extra sweet lawn swag to elevate the overall appearance of your own lawn by up to 69%. Guaranteed. That's a guaranteed check mark. For that,
no
you
money
guys
back, but guaranteed.
There it is. There's the fine print. I'm Ope, you guys. Andrew, Vince, thank you as always for joining me. Chris and Rachio, thank you so much for coming on. And until next time, guys, have a good one.
Thanks for having us.